Hi, this is Soul Mechanics, practical tune-ups to be a healthy human, and my name is Kate Foley. There can be times when interacting with certain people or walking into certain houses or buildings feels draining, or you feel like something isn't quite right. Some people even report feeling as though something or someone has attached to them, like some invisible hook or weight. From my own observations, I think our personalities and attitudes carry a lot of influence here. I'm the type of person who likes to be left alone, and I'm an independent thinker. If anyone tries to persuade me to do or think a certain way, I'm looking for an exit. However, I've had times in my life when I've been vulnerable and susceptible to influence. Vulnerable could mean many things, but for the purposes of this episode, the type of vulnerability I'm talking about is self-doubt. At the times of my vulnerability, I felt very suggestible and porous to outside influences. There are times in each of our lives when we dip into these cloudy waters. These are the times when you might be in a major life transition, or learning something new, or you're in a new environment or around unstable people and you don't feel safe. There are plenty of other examples as well. I think each of us has experienced something like this, which leads me to the question I'm often asked. Are we protected? Should we be protecting ourselves from harmful energies or darkness? I've been to workshops and read books that insist practitioners should be imagining a bubble of white light around them on a daily or more frequent basis. I gotta say, I have some issues with this. Maybe it's my practical nature, but I'm compelled to ask some questions. What are we protecting ourselves from? Would you recognize a dark entity if it presented itself? Define dark. Is that a judgment? Do you think angry thoughts are dark? What about an emotional breakdown? Is darkness two opposing views on a subject? Be careful what you judge as dark or negative. We all have darkness. If you aren't familiar with your darkness, are you familiar with your light? What does the light look like in you? Define it. If we are constructing a protective bubble around us, what do you want to allow in? Who's making the decision as to what is allowed in and what remains out? Where is that boundary? Is outside your bubble not safe? Is inside your bubble safe? I'm not asking these questions to make you crazy. I'm asking these questions because it seems like this protective bubble is some sort of insurance policy. What is it guaranteeing? Most of us are really confused about our own boundaries. We're even confused about who we are. Does that bubble of light ensure that we won't have to address our boundaries? Or maybe it ensures that we don't encounter ourselves, or we won't pick up someone else's bad mood. Would you rather walk around in a bubble, not acknowledging or interacting with the dark or light world around you? Do you want that guarantee? Why? Also, aside from this notion of protecting yourself from negative energies, what do you put in place in your concrete world as protection? How much of your time and energy is spent protecting yourself? Some examples of physical protective measures are security cameras, insurance, masks, even air filters. What don't you trust in your world that you need so much protection? I'm not telling you to get rid of your insurance or your air filters or to stop wearing masks in crowds. I'm inviting you to take a look at your motivations and reasons for protection. Have you educated yourself on your enemy? For example, if you're a germaphobe, and you're excessively washing your hands and using hand sanitizer. Do you understand that we require bacteria to live? Do you know how much bacteria lives on and in our bodies? Do you understand the delicate balance and relationship we have with bacteria and viruses? How much do you know about our beautifully designed immune systems? How much of your life energy is focused on protecting versus coexisting? And why don't you trust yourself? It's just worth examining. Getting back to the unseen protective shield, let's say you didn't have this protective bubble. Personally, I don't like the word protection when it comes to working with people. If I were to visit a practitioner who felt the need to set up some protective shield to guard him or herself from me, I wouldn't visit them. I'm not visiting them to harm them. I'm visiting them for help. When people walk through my door, I am opening my heart to them. I'm looking to love aspects of them. When you are loving someone, do you set up a protective shield? When you open your heart, there's no protection, no filters other than your own perceptive filters. Instead of protection, why not discernment? With discernment, I know what is my own thought and what isn't. I know what triggers me and what doesn't. I know when there's something unusual in my space. With discernment, we begin to develop confidence and recognize what is ours and what is coming from someone or somewhere else. Here's the thing about darkness, psychic invasions, or these mysterious outside forces desiring to get to you. You have a part to play in this. We all have a part to play in darkness and in light. With darkness, are you eating things you know you shouldn't? Are you supporting a friend's addiction because otherwise they won't hang out with you? Are you thinking hurtful thoughts about someone or yourself? Do you take part in gossip? Also, our darkness isn't always obvious. Our darkness can also be considered our shadow, or the aspects of yourself that you either aren't aware of or don't want to see. Take a look at your mischievous self. What's buried in that extra scoop of ice cream? Are you really dating a bad boy? Or is that the side of you that wants to express itself? Who's really hiding in your celebrity crush? Getting back to protection, we cannot neglect the ego's role in desiring protection. It's important to ask yourself, why do you think you're that important? What requires protection? Think about this. What exactly are you protecting? When you let down your guard, if you are totally defenseless, what feelings emerge? But for argument's sake, let's say you are that important. After all, evil does exist, and the balance is always in question. It is worth asking yourself, why do I feel invaded? Why do I feel the need for protection? Do you have the self-awareness to know what is your own thought and what isn't? What are your intentions at this moment? Do you know your own darkness? Please don't say to yourself, I don't know why she keeps talking about darkness. I'm not dark. I don't have any darkness. Because that's ridiculous. If you think that you are all light, you are dangerous. The aspects of ourselves that we refuse to see or deny have incredible power over us and our actions. On the other hand, do you know your light side? Your abilities to love with no expectations and no conditions? Seeing the nobility in picking up trash? Or seeing complete strangers stuck on the side of the road and sending them well wishes or prayers for help? Or why not just make that call for assistance for them? Putting yourself in someone else's shoes when everyone else is judging them? Or what about taking a moment to actively listen to someone you pass on the street every day Perhaps one of those folks sitting on the ground or on a bench with their eyes cast down. You'd be surprised by some of their stories. I'm going to spell it out for you. If you have self-knowledge, confidence, and discernment, if you have an intimate relationship with God, or whatever word is comfortable for you, your higher power, you'll recognize when something or someone enters your space. If you have confidence, you'll have the awareness that after a long day of interacting with people, when you feel drained, it might not be a psychic attack. It might be that you're hungry. Or maybe you're interacting with people who don't want as much help as you want to give. That's going to drain you. Maybe your best friend is in a relationship with someone you don't think is good for them, and this consumes your daily thoughts. Guess what? That's draining you. Those thoughts that you think are protective or loving can sometimes be thoughts of control. Your controlling thoughts are what's draining you. If you have enough confidence and strength to see this, you can pull yourself out of that cycle. This takes a lot of self-awareness. But you have to be able to detect when you feel drained. You have to be able to detect feeling drained. In this culture, so many people are busy working or running around from errand to errand that they bypass the alert that they even feel drained. I know this because I hear it all the time in my practice. There are lots and lots of people who expect to be quote unquote fixed so that they can continue on with their busy lives, ignoring their body's subtle or obvious signs that they need to rest, or that they need to eat something different, or that they need more water or less water. There are companies, very successful and lucrative companies, whose sole product is a stimulant or a depressant. I see parking lots full of cars at these stores all day long. I see lines of cars waiting to buy stimulants and depressants. To me, this is an indicator of a society full of people who are ignoring or drugging themselves when they feel drained or anxious. We could argue that the cost of living is really high, and we have to work excessively just to survive. But we also live in a culture of incredible consumerism. If the cost of living is so high, how can we afford to throw so much away and buy something new every time it doesn't perform for us? How can we afford to drug ourselves every time we feel drained or worried? I don't think we can. I think we're seeing signs of this as well. I think we're reaching a fever pitch. Our physical health is directly related to the health of the planet. This isn't about blaming or relying upon some larger entity to take care of it for us. This is about personal accountability. This is about letting our guards down, realizing that we are connected to everything and everyone. Those squirrels digging holes in your yard are just as much a part of your physical health as your heart beating. The cold winter wind that burns your skin is the air in your lungs. The puddle on the street outside your apartment is the blood being pumped through your veins. The bacteria in the soil is on your skin and in your gut. Your neighbor who rubs you the wrong way is your reflection in the mirror. We are not separate. We're in a relationship. The notion of protection bypasses self-accountability and choice. Know yourself. Know your darkness. Know your light. Make your own decisions. Opening our hearts to each other does not require protection. It requires self-knowledge, connection, and discernment. This is Kate Foley. Thank you for listening.